One of the most extraordinary UFO encounters of the 20th century occurred in the tiny fishing community of Shag Harbour on the southern tip of Nova Scotia. On the evening of October 4th, 1967, several residents of the village noticed a rather strange grouping of 4 orange lights. A number of witnesses watched these lights flash in sequence for several minutes, and then suddenly and rapidly dive in a sharp 45-degree angle toward the water's surface. On hitting the water's surface, the lights did not immediately disappear, but seemed to float on the surface approximately 1/2 mile from the shore. Several reports to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police prompted 3 officers to investigate. Their reports indicate that they observed what the witnesses had: orange lights floating on the water. The officers, along with dozens of witnesses who had gathered on the shore, watched as the orange light slowly changed to yellow, and the dome-shaped object appeared to move slowly across the surface of the water, leaving a yellowish foam in its wake. After about 5 minutes, the object submerged beneath the water. The military was called in to investigate. Years later, UFO researchers Don Ledger and Chris Stiles uncovered the fact that the object that dove into the waters off Shag Harbour had been tracked. It had actually traveled underwater for a distance of about 25 miles to a place called Government Point, where the United States maintained a technically advanced military base for tracking submarines. At this point, the United States Navy also became involved in the investigation. As the Navy waited, the detection equipment picked up another object entering the area underwater. It joined the first object on the ocean floor. For nearly a week, the Navy vessels held their position over the UFOs, until the UFOs began to move towards the Gulf of Maine. The objects distanced themselves from the ships that pursued them, and then broke to the surface and shot skyward, where they vanished within seconds.
What's different about the Shag Harbour incident, or the UFO incident, is that the witnesses, the lay people, claimed they saw an airplane or crashing into the harbor. They thought it was an airplane, and it was the military who classified it as a UFO. Usually it's the other way around. The lay people call it in and say they saw a UFO, and the military will say it's just misinterpretation of a prosaic object in the sky. Could be an airplane or a planet or a star or something like that, or a satellite. So this was different. It was completely switched around from the usual concept.
The Shag Harbour incident occurred over water and then underwater. As the old saying goes, the oceans of the world hide a lot of history and a lot of mystery. The difference with Shag Harbour, Nova Scotia, is that in 1967, the waters there may well have held a mystery that was literally out of this world. It's a history that the Canadian and American governments still keep secret 40 years later.